Amina believed nothing could shake her soft lifestyle until one desperate choice dragged her into a reality she never imagined. Welcome to African Sleeping Stories. Amina always believed she was born for comfort. Even as a child growing up in a cramped Face Me I Face You compound in Sabo, she would sit on the wooden bench outside their room and watch rich women drive past in tinted SUVs. Their hair bounced, their nails sparkled, their perfumes filled the air. Amina would whisper the same promise every day. God, this suffering is not my portion. I must marry money. By her mid-twenties, Amina had transformed herself into the type of woman she believed wealthy men desired. Her wigs were always straight. Her makeup stayed sharp from morning till night. Her walk, slow, confident, hips rolling like she was floating. On Instagram, she was Amina the baddie, always in restaurants she couldn't afford, always tagging luxury brands she hadn't bought. In real life, however, she was juggling three small hustles: selling hair, selling perfumes, and selling the dream of a lifestyle she didn't yet own. Her friends, Zara and Kemi, admired her boldness. They envied how she always looked put together, even when her bank account was crying. One hot Saturday afternoon, Amina sat inside her small room, surrounded by clothes and makeup scattered everywhere. The fan hummed weakly. She pressed a cold Fanta bottle to her neck. "This life is too hard," she muttered, looking at her reflection. "I can't marry a broke man. I can't suffer the way Mama suffered." Her mother had spent years bending her back in people's kitchens, cooking for families that treated her like furniture. Amina had sworn never to inherit that struggle. That evening, her friends dragged her out to a high-end lounge in town. Amina dressed like someone expecting destiny, a fitted red dress, gold heels, and a smile sharp enough to open doors. Men stared. Women shifted uncomfortably. Amina basked in the attention like a plant receiving sunlight. She walked like she already belonged among the wealthy. She laughed softly, never too loud. She sat with her legs crossed neatly, as if she had been raised in luxury. But deep inside her chest was a hunger, not just for love, but for elevation. She wanted to escape poverty in one clean jump. When a man approached their table that night, Amina didn't even look up immediately. She had mastered the art of making men wait, but this one was different. Older, gentle, dressed in simple but expensive native wear. His aura was quiet, heavy, and unreadable, like a secret wrapped in calmness. He smiled politely as he spoke to the girls, but his eyes rested on Amina. "Good evening," he said, voice deep, controlled. "My name is Chief Alumide." Amina's heart did a small, sharp flip. She didn't know yet that this simple greeting would drag her into a world where wealth came with a price. But for now, she only saw a rich, calm, older man, exactly her type, exactly her goal, and she smiled back. Chief Alumide was unlike any man Amina had ever met. He didn't chase her like the younger guys who filled her DMs. He didn't brag, didn't boast, didn't try to touch her carelessly. He simply spoke to her with a calmness that felt both comforting and unsettling. Amina liked it. A wealthy man with composure was rare, and Chief Alumide had the quiet confidence of someone who didn't need to prove anything. After the first night at the lounge, he began calling her, not every minute like desperate men, but once in a while, just enough to keep her curious. "Have you eaten today? I hope business is moving. Rest well. You work too hard." Small, gentle sentences, yet each one drew her in deeper. Amina told her friends, "This one has sense. He's not stressing me. I think he's different." Zara rolled her eyes. "Different? How? You don't know the man. He looks too quiet. I don't trust quiet men." But Amina waved her off. All she saw was money and gentleness wrapped in one. A week later, Chief Alumide invited her to lunch. Amina, dressed to kill, bone-straight hair, body-hugging green dress, expensive perfume she borrowed from Kemi. When she walked into the restaurant, heads turned. She glided toward the table where Chief Alumide sat waiting. He stood up immediately, pulled out her chair, and smiled as she sat down. "Amina, you look radiant." She blushed. "Thank you, Chief." Throughout the meal, he asked her questions, not just the surface-level ones. He asked about her fears, her dreams, her childhood. No man had ever cared that deeply. But there were odd moments, too. The waiter brought their food, steaming jollof rice and grilled chicken. Amina noticed Alumide barely touched his plate. He only pushed the rice around with his fork, smiling politely whenever she urged him to eat. "You don't like the food?" she asked. "I'm on a special diet," he replied. "Oh, weight loss," she teased. He smiled faintly, something like that. Amina brushed it off. Rich people always had strange diets. After lunch, he insisted on driving her home. His car smelled faintly of herbs, old, earthy, unfamiliar. She felt a slight sting in her eyes but ignored it. On the way, Chief Alumide looked at her, expression unreadable. "Do you like peace, Amina?" he asked quietly. "Yes, of course." "That's good," he said softly. "A peaceful woman lives longest." She laughed, thinking he was joking. He didn't laugh back. Before she stepped out of the car, he held her hand gently. "Amina, if you ever become my wife, you must trust me completely, even when you don't understand some things." The statement froze her for a moment. "Chief, why are you saying that?" He smiled again, that same quiet smile she couldn't read. "No reason, I just like you, and I want you to be prepared for a life that is different." Different how? Different why? Amina didn't know, but she shook off the uneasy feeling in her chest. This was a wealthy man, a calm man, a man who treated her like royalty. She wasn't about to let a strange comment spoil destiny. That night she lay on her bed scrolling through his photos, online charity events, award ceremonies, business meetings. He looked perfect. "This man will change my life," she whispered, smiling at her ceiling. But as she drifted off to sleep, she didn't notice the message Chief Alumide sent minutes later. "Good night, Amina, and please avoid eating late at night. It is not good for your spirit." Another strange sentence. Another tiny warning she didn't understand. But soon she would, and by then it would be too late. 2 months later, Amina had everything she wanted. Dates at expensive restaurants, bank transfers just for upkeep, gifts delivered to her doorstep, and a man who treated her like she was made of fragile gold. So when Chief Alumide proposed, Amina didn't hesitate. She didn't ask questions. She didn't look back. She didn't wonder why a wealthy man in his late 40s lived alone in a massive estate rumored to be strange. All she saw was her dream coming true. The introduction was quiet, simple. His family wasn't present. He claimed they all lived abroad. Amina's mother cried tears of joy, thanking God that her daughter had finally escaped poverty. But on the morning of the traditional wedding, something happened. Amina woke up to a strange gift left at her doorstep, a small clay pot tied with red thread. Inside was a note in handwriting she didn't recognize. "Amina, you have chosen. Make sure you can endure what comes with luxury." She shivered. Her friends tried to laugh it off, saying it was probably from a jealous admirer. So she forced the fear down and got dressed. The wedding was beautiful. Chief Alumide looked regal in white and gold. Amina looked like a queen. Guests whispered about how lucky she was. Alumide held her hand through the ceremonies, his palm warm, steady, reassuring. But again, Amina noticed his strange eating habit. At the reception, while everyone enjoyed jollof and pepper soup, Alumide quietly pushed his spoon around the plate, barely tasting anything. "You're still on that diet," she whispered. He nodded. "Yes, but don't worry. After today, you will understand." She didn't understand anything, but she kept smiling for pictures. The moment they arrived at his mansion, Amina's excitement doubled. The house was enormous, bigger than any home she had ever seen. Marble floors, gold chandeliers, walls lined with art. Everything looked untouched, almost too clean, too silent. The staff greeted her politely, but their eyes lingered on her a little too long, a mix of pity and fear. Alumide noticed. "Welcome your madam properly," he said sharply. Immediately they bowed. "Welcome, madam. May your stay be long." Long? Why did it sound like a prayer? Amina brushed it off and followed Alumide upstairs. In their bedroom, he turned to her gently. "Amina, before we sleep, we must eat dinner together. It is tradition." "Ah, Chief, I'm full. I ate plenty at the reception." He smiled. "No, my dear, this dinner is different." He clapped his hands once. A servant walked in holding a covered silver tray. When the lid was lifted, Amina's heart stopped. Inside the bowl was something she had never seen in her life. Brown, rotting, foul-smelling food crawling with tiny white worms. She jumped back instantly, choking on her breath. "Chief, what is this?" Alumide looked calm, too calm, as he picked up a wooden spoon. "This is how I survive," he said quietly. "This is how all the men in my bloodline survive, and from tonight my wife must eat with me." Amina's chest tightened. "Chief, please tell me this is a joke." "It is not." His voice was steady, cold, final. "The worms hold life. Without them, my heart would stop before morning. If my wife does not join me at the table, she dies before sunrise." "Die?" Amina whispered, shaking. "Me?" "Yes," Alumide replied. "Both of us are tied now. Your life is linked to mine." Amina stumbled backward, panic rising like fire in her throat. "This wasn't part of the marriage. You didn't tell me." "You wouldn't have agreed," he said softly. "Everything beautiful has a price." Her hands trembled, her knees weakened. She felt the world closing in. Alumide dipped his spoon into the decayed food, lifted it, raised it toward his mouth, and Amina realized her dream of marrying wealth had delivered her into a nightmare no one could rescue her from. A nightmare she was now expected to swallow. Amina could not breathe. Her skin crawled as she stared at the bowl of rotting food. The smell wrapped around her throat like a rope, tightening with every breath. Chief Alumide sat calmly, too calmly, like a man performing a daily ritual. He ate the first spoonful slowly, chewed, swallowed, his eyes closed as though he were tasting fine wine rather than death on a plate. Amina felt her stomach rise. She stepped back, shaking her head violently. "No, no, Chief, please, I can't do this, I cannot." He opened his eyes. "Amina," he said gently, "every woman who has ever been my wife went through this. It is the price of joining my lineage." Her voice broke. "I didn't come here to die." He set the spoon down and sighed. "You won't die, not if you eat with me. Only the wife who refuses the ritual dies." Amina froze. "Wife who refuses," she swallowed hard. How do you know they die?" Alumide looked at her for a long second. "Because I have buried two." Amina's legs nearly gave out. Two wives." "They refused," he answered simply, "and the house rejected them." The house rejected them. What kind of nonsense was that? Something snapped inside Amina. She turned and bolted toward the door. But before she reached the hallway, she collided with something. Not someone. Something invisible yet solid, like a wall made of air. She stumbled backward and screamed, "Help! Somebody help me!" The mansion swallowed her voice. No echo, no reply, just silence. Deep, heavy, unnatural silence. Alumide did not move from his seat. "You can't leave tonight," he said softly. "Not until the ritual is complete." Amina tried the door again, clawing, pushing, slamming. Nothing worked. The house stood still, watching her. She rushed to the window. It wouldn't budge. She hit the glass with a stool. The stool shattered. The glass didn't even scratch. Alumide's voice came again, calm as water. "You should not struggle, my wife. This mansion decides who goes out, and it does not know you yet." Amina spun toward him, tears covering her face. "You tricked me. You trapped me here. You knew what you were doing." He lowered his head. "I knew, and I'm sorry, but without a wife I cannot live. My family's curse demands it." She trembled harder. "Curse." He stood up slowly and walked toward her. Amina pressed herself against the wall, terrified. "My ancestors made a pact for wealth and long life. Every male heir must feed on this meal every night, and his wife must share it. If she refuses, she dies. If she accepts, she becomes bound to him." Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Bound how?" "You live as long as I live," he said quietly, "even if it stretches beyond normal years." Amina shook her head violently, her voice breaking in fear. "So if I eat this, I can't die." "You cannot die unless I die." A fresh wave of horror washed over her. This wasn't marriage. It was bondage, eternal bondage. Alumide gently picked up a second spoon. "Come, Amina, eat with me. The night is almost over." Her breath caught. She turned and ran again, this time down the corridor. Doors slammed shut as she approached them. Lights flickered. A soft humming filled the air like the house was waking up. The staff stood at the staircase, watching her with sad eyes. One older maid spoke in a trembling voice. "Madam, please do not fight. It is better to live than to die this night." Amina collapsed on the floor, sobbing loudly. Her dream of a wealthy life was gone. Alumide approached quietly, extending the spoon toward her. "Amina, choose life." She stared at the bowl again, the worms moving, the smell rising, her stomach turning. And for the first time in her life, Amina understood that money could buy many things, but not freedom. Not in this house. Not tonight. Amina sat on the cold marble floor, shaking uncontrollably. Her makeup was ruined. Her wig was bent. Her breath came in broken sobs. The mansion watched her. The staff watched her. Chief Alumide watched her. She had dreamed of marrying into wealth, but she never imagined wealth that fed on death. Alumide crouched gently beside her, his voice low and almost tender. "Amina, the night is almost over. If you don't eat now, the house will take its decision." She flinched away from him. "What kind of man are you?" she whispered. "What kind of life is this?" "A long one," he murmured. "A wealthy one, but every blessing carries a burden. This is mine, and now it is yours." She pushed herself up slowly, legs trembling. "No, I refuse this madness. I want my life back." Alumide's face softened with something close to pity. "I once loved a woman who said the same thing," he admitted. "She didn't make it to morning." Amina staggered backward, her heart pounding in terror. The house lights flickered. A cold breeze swept across the hallway, though no windows were open. Shadows shifted on the walls like they were stretching awake. The staff immediately knelt down, bowing their heads. "Madam, please choose life," they pleaded. Amina clutched her chest. "I can't eat worms," she sobbed. "I can't, I'll die." Alumide looked her in the eyes. "If you swallow even one spoon, just one, the house will accept you. You will be safe." Her vision blurred, her throat tightened, her spirit broke. She thought of her mother, her friends, her old life, her small room in the Face Me, I Face You compound. She thought of all the times she had said, "I must marry money." But she never asked what kind of money. She never asked the cost. Suddenly, the humming in the house grew louder. The air thickened. A shadow slid across the ceiling like something unseen was crawling above them. The maid whispered urgently, "Madam, it has started. Please don't wait." Amina screamed. She ran back into the bedroom, tears streaming, and grabbed the edge of the table. Her whole body shook as she stared at the bowl again. The worms wriggled. The food decayed. Alumide raised the spoon once more. "Amina," he said softly, "decide your fate." She closed her eyes. For the first time in her life, the baddie felt small, helpless, human. Slowly, terrifyingly slowly, Amina stretched her hand toward the spoon. Her fingers trembled so badly she nearly dropped it. Alumide steadied her hand. "Just one bite," he whispered. She lifted the spoon toward her lips. The smell slapped her, her stomach tossed, her eyes watered. "No, I can't," she gasped. "You can," he insisted. "You must." The house rumbled. A deep, low groan vibrated through the floor like something hungry and angry was waking beneath them. Amina screamed again and swallowed the spoonful. The worm slid across her tongue. The rotten taste exploded through her mouth. Her knees buckled. She collapsed into Alumide's arms, trembling violently as the house slowly, peacefully fell silent. The rumbling stopped, the breeze stopped, the shadows settled, the mansion accepted her. Alumide stroked her back gently, like comforting a child. "You chose well," he whispered. "You will live, and now you will never leave my side." Amina sobbed into his chest. She was alive but chained, bound to a man who fed on death, bound to a mansion that chose who lived and who died, bound to a curse she could never escape. She got the wealth she always wanted, the clothes, the luxury, the power. But every night for the rest of her life, Amina would sit at a dining table and eat the food that kept her husband alive, the food that kept her alive. And in the quiet darkness of the mansion, Amina the baddie finally understood. Some money is not worth the meal that comes with it. Moral of the story: not every wealthy life is a good life. Some blessings come wrapped in curses, and some riches demand more than you are willing or able to give. When your heart chases money blindly, you may enter places where freedom no longer exists. Choose wisely, because the price of greed is often paid in ways you never imagined. Hi besties, my heart is honestly full tonight. Thank you for 15,000 beautiful souls who chose to support me, who watch my stories, who comment, who laugh, who cry, who come back every day. I don't take any of you for granted, not even for a second. If this story touched you, scared you, or kept you thinking, please support me by liking this video, dropping your thoughts in the comments. I truly love reading and responding to them. Sharing the video with someone who enjoys deep African stories, subscribing and turning on notifications so we can keep growing together. Every like, every comment, every share helps me create more stories for you. Thank you for standing by me, besties. I love you all so much.
Thank you for being here and sharing in these stories. Your presence truly warms my heart.